Stop using melee infantry as the Empire. It's actually making your armies worse, because every time you bring it, it blocks your guns, it risks friendly fire from your own artillery, it doesn't hold very well, and it barely deals any damage. So instead, here are 5 frontline alternatives that fix those problems, and the last one is by far the best. At number 5, we have Knights of the Black Rose. Now you might ask, how can Knights be a frontline? Because they also block line of sight. They are much more durable than the basic melee infantry of the Empire. They have really good defensive stats, huge armor and melee defense. They also have shields, but the most importantly, once you build a landmark in Nuln, they get passive ability Iron Resolve. This ability prevents any models in the unit from dying until the unit reaches 50% of their health. If you combine them with the Life Wizard, you can actually keep them above 50% of their health for a long time. But if you want to use Knights of the Black Rose as your front line, you will probably want to change your army composition entirely in order to get maximum efficiency. They come with the same problem as melee infantry because they also block line of sight. However, not all the artillery requires line of sight. You can recruit mortars. However, they can also take friendly fire from mortars, except if you use Sutson's guns, electric count state troop mortars, which do not do friendly fire. Now they still do some friendly fire, but much less than the regular mortars. However, knights and mortars actually complement each other quite nicely, because the biggest problem of mortars is actually hitting the targets, because the AI is really good at dodging those shots, and if you lock down enemies in melee with your knights first, then they cannot dodge them. So the mortars will have much easier time hitting the targets, and since they do not do friendly fire, that's actually perfect combination. In the Elspeth faction, you can upgrade mortars to have dazed contact effect, which reduces melee defense by 10, and this also helps knights do more damage. In Elspeth faction, mortars are also good, because once upgraded they have stoke and snipe, and that will allow them to shoot for the entire battle undetected. However, if you structure an army like this, it will still struggle against single entities and monsters, because neither Knights of the Black Rose or mortars are specifically good against such targets. So you will probably need to bring some guns, and the best option is actually Hochland long rifles, because they also have snipe ability. Now if you play in the maps with forests, you can actually hide them in the forest from where they can shoot for the entire battle undetected, but it's very map dependent, because if there are no forests on the map, they will have to be in the open. The benefit of such an army is that you can freely move your knights away from your backline, unlike traditional gun lines, while your missile units can shoot from distance hidden. It's specifically good against factions with lots of summons like Skaven or demons, because they cannot summon a unit on your hidden unit. If you use Hochland long rifles, you will have to position them on the side of knights so they don't block line of sight. You can use them to snipe specific targets, while your knights and mortars kill the blobs of their infantry. You can also use this army with Karl Franz, because he reduces upkeep cost of elect count state troops by 20%, and provides them with additional missile damage. Number 4, we have allied dwarf infantry. Dwarves have some of the best melee infantry line holders in the game, and as the Empire, you can easily make an alliance and get some of their units. You will be locked to a maximum of 4 allied units per army, but that's more than enough for a good frontline. Even the basic dwarf warriors are much better than basic Empire infantry. However, you can choose even stronger options, like Iron Breakers, which are one of the best line holders in the game, or even Slayers, which are unbreakable and do great damage against large targets. But the biggest advantage of using dwarves is that they are short, and they do not block line of sight of your guns. Due to their height, you can shoot with your guns above their heads into human-sized infantry and not do friendly fire. They will still take friendly fire from your artillery, but if you use units like Iron Breakers, they are much more durable to it. The biggest problem with this composition is that you cannot boost your dwarven allies with your technology or your red lines buffs from your lords. However, they do get some buffs like engineer missile strength buff and range buffs from your lords Hochland scope straight. At number 3, we have strongest frontline option for the Empire, and those are the steam tanks and landships. These Warmachines are extremely durable, and they also come with a lot of firepower on their own. You will definitely want to support them with a Life Wizard, which will provide them with heals through Earth's blood and regrowth. You can freely shoot around your steam tanks with Hailstorm rocket batteries and not worry about friendly fire. However, both steam tanks and land ships are very expensive, and by the time you can recruit them, it's much better to just go for the doomstack of those war machines and not create standard gun line. It's a good choice, but it's redundant, because using doomstack of steam tanks is much better because you do not have to worry about your backline at all. And the steam tanks are strong enough to deal with any army on their own. At number 2 we have hero frontlines, specifically warrior priests and empire captains. The warrior priest is better option due to their abilities. They come with 2 abilities that provides 20% ward save, a huge melee attack buff for all friendly units in the area, and the Soulfire ability, a bombardment which is great against enemy blobs. That way they can also contribute to the damage, and if they are on foot, they are really hard to kill, because just handful of enemy models can ever attack them at the same time, and if they fight any large targets, they will knock them down constantly, which will temporarily make them immune to damage. You can also provide them with lots of items that will further increase their durability. Empire captains are another option, but they do not have those strong abilities of warrior priests. However, bringing one empire captain to the army is also good, because they can provide guardian, which is another 50% physical resistance for lords and heroes in the area. Just remember that when you use hero front lines, you will want to position them much further in front so that enemy units do not ignore them and run for your backline. You will basically want to charge them into enemy straight from the beginning of the battle, way outside of the range of your guns, where only your artillery can do damage. That way, most of enemy army will blob around them, where you can shoot them, and if any units decide to come close, they will be met by the guns. Now, before we talk about actual best option, here are 2 honorable mentions. First, there are the war wagons. Now, this unit is not frontline at all, but it can act as a barricade. They have very high mass, which means no units will get through them, and they can also contribute to the damage, especially the mortar variant. In the Asbeth faction, they also come with stock and snipe, just like the regular mortars, which will prevent enemies from shooting at them. However, these units have such a low melee stats that they will hardly hold even the weakest enemies. With basic melee defense of just 12, even the goblins can chew through them fast. On top of that, they also block line of sight of your guns. It's an interesting option, but not really good. In the Asbeth faction, you can also combine them with Gunderman's Surefires, and that way your entire army can stalk and shoot from distance, and only when enemy gets close, it will get revealed. Another option is to steal heroes from your allies. Now this option is very strong, but it's very tedious to do. Basically, you will want to borrow an ally army with heroes attached to it, then get those heroes killed, and when they come back, they will permanently stay in your faction. Depending on your allies, you can get some really strong options, like Dwarven Thanes or Slayer heroes, even the Runesmiths. However, doing this is very long and tedious, and you can just play the campaign without ever doing this and not worry about it. But if you see a chance to steal a Dwarven hero, it's always a good option. And the best option for Empire front lines is to not use frontline at all. In this kind of armies, you will want to rely on wizards to stop the enemies from ever reaching your lines, and the best options are light wizards, which provide net of Amintok spell. Once overcasted, this spell roots enemies in an area, and you can shoot them with your artillery and guns while they stay still. The second option, which is slightly less reliable, but it uses less Windsor magic, is actually Beast Wizard. Beast Wizards can summon Manticores twice per battle to delay enemy units, just like the Skaven Menace Belows, and they can use Kettle's Call twice per battle, which summons Giant Hawks, and you can use them also to delay enemy units. This is also the most cost-effective frontline Empire can have, because just 2 wizards per army can stop enough enemy units while your guns do the damage, and that way you will actually have more room in your armies for guns and artillery. And if you want to build and use an army that utilizes wizards as frontline, watch this video next. See ya.